Alright, hello everyone, how's it going? This is Christopher here, of course, and Mikey also here, and today we have another sort of behind-the-scenes video. Oh yeah, so I don't actually really have too much stuff to show as far as like behind-the-scenes footage of me filming Dunnest Smoke of Hell, but I figured we can talk about it and just sort of like go over my process, I guess, and just like inspirations and whatnot too. I figured that would be kind of a fun thing to do. I've been thinking about doing this for a little bit, ever since the movie was released, even though it was like just released like a pretty much a second ago, but you know. Some of you may remember this, maybe not, but a little bit ago, I think it was about a year or two ago, I made this like very cryptic video where I just showed Macbeth in black and white, but with red unmuted, so you could see like, oh, the red of like Macbeth's shirt or whatever, or something like that. So that was pretty much the start of this project. Originally, I was going to write a script for it. It was going to be my first full-length Lego video. It was going to be, I wanted it to be about like an hour, 50 minutes, or somewhere around that range. But I settled for 43 minutes. That's totally fine. I did not write a script. I think I have like very small pieces of the script, and the script was pretty much going to be what I shot. I guess there wasn't anybody else that was shooting it, but yeah, that it started off with of course, the war scene. It was gonna have like actually like a soldier, a hero from the Korean War on the American side of things, and he was gonna be in there very briefly. But I was like, doesn't matter. I just went just random like night operation to introduce the character because I feel like his experience in the war was an important part of who he is and his story. So there we go. And then after that in the script was the wedding, and then you have like the scene where Shades is talking to Eleanor. I don't actually have a name for the character. I just call him Shades whenever I'm writing down any piece of dialogue from him. I don't know if I'll ever reveal his name. I don't think it's really that important, but maybe one day it will come up somewhere. But for now, he's just like, usually called the boss or whatever. So there we go. Or just Shades, but no one really calls him Shades. I think only I call him Shades. But anyways, yeah, so that's pretty much how far I got in the script, but I had of course, the general idea because, of course, with that video, I was keying you in that, yeah, this will be like a noir version of Macbeth. Now, of course, it's not exactly like Macbeth. There's definitely a lot of things that are different from Macbeth, especially the ending. I'd like to sort of consider the ending is like, kind of like, this is his origin, so it's not his ending, so we get to see his ending in Compendium, of course, but, so it kind of ends in the same way if you think of, like, Alan, the main character of Compendium, as like Macduff or whatever. So there is that. But yeah. So sort of, I took the three of the characters from Macbeth, and well, technically four, I guess, and sort of expanded upon that. You, of course, have got Shades as Macbeth himself. You've got Eleanor as Lady Macbeth, sort of the person that's pushing Macbeth further, or Shades further. And then, of course, you have Ben, who is Banquo, who I sort of Ben Banquo, not too far off. They're kind of similar names, I guess, kind of. They both have B's, right? So there you go, and N's in there. So there you go, basically the same name. But yeah, so of course, like if you haven't read Macbeth, spoilers. But or seen Macbeth or whatever Macbeth, Banquo of course gets killed. So that's sort of, yeah, there we go. But we kind of we didn't really touch on the paranoia that Macbeth gets when he like sees Banquo at the feast. Or he's like, oh my God, it's my friend, he's dead. Why is he here? Or any of like the supernatural things of Macbeth, because of course there's like the three witches, and there's not really that in there. There's not like any sort of like, he kind of like is pushed by Eleanor, but also pushed by himself. So like, there's no like outward like motivation, like, oh yeah, by the way, you're gonna become like the boss one day. There's anything like that. So, it's not an exact adaptation of Macbeth. That's why I put in the description, loosely adapted from Shakespeare's Macbeth. So there you go. Yeah, I think it'd be kind of fun. I like sort of like finding inspiration from different sources. Like, for example, the third episode of Anthology, 1963, Alibi, is based on a French movie from 1967, Le Samurai. One of my favorites movies there. Not the favorite movie, but definitely up there for me. And very much an inspiration as far as like my style of filming these things and whatnot. So it's a great movie, really good. Um, if this project took place after that movie came out, since it takes place in 1963 and the movie came out in 1967, I believe, I definitely would have used the theme, but I couldn't because it would have been anachronistic. So it's like, all right, fine, maybe one day I'll use the theme. It's a really good theme. I love it so much. Very dramatic and noir-y, I guess. But anyways, yeah, so good stuff there. So I like trying to find inspiration from all sorts of places. And this time I was like, let's go back to some of the classics and let's look at Macbeth, because I think it would be really fun to adapt. Like, you always see like all these adaptations of Romeo and Juliet and Hamlet, I guess. Like The Northman is like an adaptation of Hamlet, but I was like, you know what? Let's get a little crazy with it. Let's look at Macbeth. So there we go. And of course, I couldn't do this without these two amazing voice actors that I have found for the project. Of course, Tatsuo as Eleanor herself, and then we have Akiva as Nine. I really wanted to, of course, like tie this in, like sort of one of the main running plot lines that isn't like necessarily like the main focus of the series, but it's sort of something that's connected them throughout its runtime. Is of course the numbers, the Bureau of Numbers, and I wanted to like add a number in here and like, oh, what if there's like a number that was like, you know, forced to work with the boss, kind of similar to how we have whatever her name Donna, that's right, Donna, in Compendium, and she's like working under the boss that, you know, we see of course as Rise in Dunnest Smoke of Hell. And by the way, yeah, the name originally was Dunnest Smoke and Hell, but then I looked up the code again, it's like, oh, it's Dunnest Smoke of Hell. So I was like, I've been calling that for about a year, so we'll just change that right at the release date. I literally changed it when I finished the project. I added the credits, like, let's look at the quote again. I want to see what this was like again. I was like, yes, of course. It is a quote from Macbeth. I think maybe Lady Macbeth says it. I don't remember off the top of my head, but I think it might be her. Not sure. Anyways, though, yeah. So of course, also like to go back on Macbeth. Yeah, of course, like, you know, the first boss is based on, you know, King Duncan, who, you know, Macbeth kills in the play. So there we go. And of course, like, I feel like that's probably like the closest to Macbeth. Like, it does actually start off with like a sort of like a battle or whatever. Like one of the Thanes or whatever, like, is a traitor or something like that, and they beat him up, and then the witch is like, hey, you Macbeth, you'll become like the new Thane or whatever, and then like the king's like, hey Macbeth, you want to become the new Thane? Is like, Macbeth's like, yeah man, of course. So there we go. But anyways, yeah, so that's sort of like, I guess, the most accurate to Macbeth is that sort of beginning part, and then like Lady Macbeth suggests like, hey, what if you just kill Duncan and yeah, you'll be good. So there we go. Anyways, the Bureau of Numbers, yeah. So yeah, I wanted to sort of include them there. It's sort of, like I said, been an overarching plot line there. Like, you know, there isn't really like any discussion of the Bureau of Numbers in Compendium, but I will say that there will be some stuff that is like brought up in regards to some of the characters in the Bureau of Numbers eventually. So you'll be seeing that, because of course, like, you know, Shades is obsessed with like being like this, you know, this powerful guy, and like having the Bureau of Numbers like under him and whatever, and he would be like unstoppable because they're like the deadliest assassins in the world. So there we go. I've never actually confirmed how many like numbers there are, because like I think the highest one we've seen is like 16 or 14 or something like that. The guy in the Bookkeep, which is the other anthology thing that I've released this year. Maybe we'll get another anthology thing out this year. I'm not sure. I've got a lot of projects to work on already, but maybe we'll see another short. But at least we got 2 anthology things out. I usually try to get 2 out a year. Last year I think I technically got more than 1 out, because I did release more episodes of the anthology season 1, but I did not. I was gonna try to get this one out, but I didn't get it out. But we got it out. It's fine. It all worked out. I wasn't gonna become a project that I never released. I knew I was gonna finish it. So here we are. Anyways, yeah. So the Bureau of Numbers, of course, is referenced in Welcome Tenants. Like, of course, like the main bad guy is like one of the numbers, and then one of the other guys is like a number 2 in there and whatnot. Of course, there's no discussion of the Bureau of Numbers in Equivocal or in you know, On the Edge of Limbo, because that doesn't really matter. Like, none of that stuff is really that important at the moment. But some of these storylines seem like they're probably not quite attached. Like, you've got like the main stuff that's pretty well attached. Like, for example, of course, you know, Dunnest Smoke of Hell is a prequel to Compendium, and Welcome Tenants is a sequel to Compendium. But Equivocal is not attached yet, and same with, like, you know, On the Edge of Limbo. I even, so much as I considered, like, oh, what if I just boot On the Edge of Limbo? Like, does it need to be in the anthology canon? I think for now it will still be in the anthology canon, but we'll see what happens with that. But I think it might. I think it might probably stay. You know, just right now that I think. But anyways, yeah. But I will say that, yeah, you will see how all these things connect. I've got this project that will be the last project, I think, called Remnants, or The Remnants. It will be like sort of seeing how all this stuff connects and whatnot, like seeing characters from different projects. Unfortunately, the ending of Equivocal is pretty ambiguous, but it sounds weird that I'm saying unfortunately about this, but it will be cleared up in Remnants to see what happens at the end of Equivocal. But which will be good for anybody that was wondering what happens in the end, because it's like sort of ends on a cliffhanger. But for me, I'm like, oh, I like to end stuff on cliffhanger sometimes and keep you thinking about it and stuff like that. You know, try to figure out what happened or sort of like theorize by yourself. But here we are, so that will be that will be resolved. So there we go, very fun. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to making that. Yeah, the rest of Anthology, it's not going to end anytime soon. I still have like at least a few years, if not more. So, yeah, it's not going anywhere, but you'll see more projects. I've got Interlude planned, which is going to be, I'm not sure if that'll be the next thing that I make for Anthology as far as like a movie type video, but yeah, Interlude with Alan, the guy with the spiky hair that's in the book Keep, and he's also the main character of Compendium. I've got another season, of course, of Anthology planned, which is Anthology Season 2. And Anthology Season 3 I will also be doing. I'm not sure if I'll do a Season 4. I have ideas for Season 4, but I'm not sure because some of those ideas are also like kind of like what The Remnants is about too. So I'm not sure if I need like a prequel to that in Season 4 or not, but I can confirm there will be at least 2 other seasons, Season 2 and 3. I'm very excited for Season 3. It's going to be fun. It's going to wrap up something too, because there is a number. There's talk about numbers going back to that thread in 1963. That 3 is a pretty important character, and he gets introduced there. We'll see more of 3 eventually. So keep your eyes out. I'm excited for that. But anyways, yeah. So this project, now I've been talking about Anthology for 5 years. Yeah. It's very fun. It took about a year to film. It wasn't like consistently filming like every day, but I tried to film as pretty consistent as possible. I tried to film like pretty much every weekend, I think. I have some very fond memories of filming this. Like I remember, for example, the opening of it. I didn't actually. I'm trying to remember like the order. I'm pretty sure I went in chronological order, so I'm pretty sure everything that I filmed was in order. So there we go. But I remember like going to see Kiki's Delivery Service in the theater, which was very fun. And then I remember like filming the night stuff for the war scenes, the Korean war scenes, and that was really fun. It was very, very fun, like filming in a different location besides just my bedroom, like filming outside and whatnot, and getting in the grass and stuff. I feel like had a kind of a cool aesthetic with the lights and stuff like that, so that was pretty fun. And I think I finished around October, I think. So I started probably like in, I think it was like in July possibly, and then I finished in October. So it wasn't like actually a year of filming, but it took a while to film it. Definitely probably one of the longest projects I've ever filmed. Like it took a while for me to film Compendium too. It took a few months, I believe. So I was just filming it over the weekend. But I think it only took about 6 weeks, I'm pretty sure. I think there's like 6 parts of Compendium, and I filmed like each part in a day. So I'm pretty sure that's probably the order of things there. But yeah, so it was a very fun project to film. Very much enjoyed it. It kind of it was a lot to edit, but it sort of eventually I got into the flow of things, and I was able to just like go like ham with it. Like a lot of the editing like happened pretty much like a few weeks ago. That's when I was really clicking with it. I started working on it a lot in June, and then once I got all of the lines in July, I was like, all right, let's go. And I think I finished in like a few days or so. So I did all of the voice acting first. We got all this was improvised, so I had to write down, for example, when I was doing the lines, I like play most of the characters, so I just recorded like bit by bit each clip. I recorded the entire like audio track. I sort of like I do Shade's voice, and then I do Ben's voice, which is my voice, and then sort of like listen to the clip while I do the lines and stuff like that to get the delivery and try to get the timing too. And then for the parts I had to have other voice actors in, I wrote out everything that I said, kind of brushed it up a little bit to make it a little better because it's all improvised. So there's like some things that I was like, oh, I could do this. I could say this instead of this or whatever. So sent the lines to our wonderful voice actors, and then here we are. So yeah, it was all pretty much improvised, but I brushed it up in post. So there we go. Um, Very fun. Editing was pretty easy. After I got all of the voice lines, then I did all the sound effects, which was really fun. All the gunshots and cars and whatnot. Pretty easy. There wasn't actually um, too many sound effects that I needed, honestly. I think the heaviest sound effect part was definitely, of course, like the war scene, but that was pretty easy too. Like you've got like some explosions in the distance, you've got gunshots in the distance, and you have gunshots up close. You have, of course, like the bullet hits and whatnot, and everything, the mine going off and stuff like that. So that was very fun. And of course, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, there's like sort of like a nighttime nature sort of like bug sound effects thing background in there too, which is very sort of to add to the atmosphere of um, the war scenes, because it's of course at night and outside too. So there we go. And then of course the music was very easy too. I did not compose anything, unfortunately. I usually try to compose something for the anthology stuff, but I was like, I was kind of like, all right, this thing has been taking quite a while to get out, so I figured let's see what they got on. I use Epidemic Sound, very very great place for music and for sound effects. I will say, they're pretty much copyright free. Sometimes, on occasion, YouTube's like, hey, this, So most of the time, though, it usually doesn't have any problem. But on occasion, you may find some stuff like that. So just be cautious, I guess, a little bit. But it's a solid place for copyright free things. They have a lot of great sound effects on there. I use that all the time for audio dramas and stuff like that. So there's a lot of great sound effects on there. And you can, of course, combine sound effects to make something new and whatever. So, it's not sponsored by Epidemic. I wish it was, but no. It's a great website. So that's what I use for the music. And then of course I had like some pieces that are not, of course, like copyright free. For example, like That's Amore. I wasn't sure what song to use for there. I was like, I want to have like a song that's like, oh yeah, 50 song. The thing is, it's kind of hard with like the time period. Like I wish I could have said it later, but then I would have been, outside of the Korean War, so I wanted that to be a key point in the story. So I was like, all right, I'll just have to like find songs from like 1953 or whatever, because like rock and roll really started like in the mid 50s, and that was like still a little early for all that stuff like Elvis and whatnot. So I was like, all right. So I'm used to like working with 60s music because I love 60s music, so that was really very fun part of that, of making anthology. And of course like 80s music too, and sometimes some 70s stuff too, especially for this new the next season takes place in the 70s, so that'll be very fun working with a bunch of 70s music there too. I've got like some songs picked out already, but anyways, yeah. So yeah, choosing the music was fun. Of course, the final theme, I wasn't entirely sure what to do. I was like, what do I end this on? I was like, I had this like villainous theme that played throughout. It plays in like I think a few different parts. I want to say like maybe 3 possibly. I'm trying to remember exactly when it plays. I think it plays like during one of the times that Shades is talking to Eleanor. Towards the beginning, I believe, when they're in their house, not when they're on their honeymoon. But I think it plays like a few other places too. But we've got the Rags to Riches montage. I didn't actually realize that song was in Goodfellas until I made the trailer and I saw like, oh, people were talking about Goodfellas. Like, what are you talking about? And I looked up and was like, oh, it wasn't Goodfellas. Okay, so there we go. I didn't know that connection until I made it. And then when I put the song in the trailer, I was like, oh, I could use a different song, but it's like this song feels like it fits pretty well for that little montage there. I guess I was kind of inspired by Scarface a little bit there. There's like the montage of Tony and whatever, like, I don't know, halfway through the movie or something like that, or probably, I don't know when it takes place, probably about halfway through, maybe a little closer to the end, but a little inspired by that, the Push It to the Limits montage, if you've ever seen the movie. Very fun, but it's so I wanted to capture that energy just a little bit. So there we go. Even though that movie is from the 80s, of course, but there's like the one from the 30s too, but I don't think that's in there, but I haven't seen that one. But anyways, yeah, so so I wasn't really sure what to end the movie on, but I was like, wait, in the end of Compendium you have the showdown between Alan and Shades, and it plays Winter by Vivaldi, and such a like really great piece of music. I love how dramatic it is, and the violin and stuff like that just goes crazy on that. If you've seen John Wick Chapter 3, you'll be familiar with it. It's the song near the end. There's like the big shootout with the green lights and stuff like that. That's Winter. Amazing. So I wanted to end it on that because I was like, oh, that'd be kind of a fun callback. Like this could be kind of like his theme in a sense, and I thought that was kind of cool to like tie it there. So that was sort of my thought process. I was gonna end it on like some sort of 50 song or something. I was like, no, this probably fits better. So that's how we ended it. Yeah, overall it was a very fun project. I'm glad that I finally got it out. It's the longest video that I've made, not including like the whatever the minifigure videos, like those Lego Star Wars minifigure videos. They get pretty long sometimes, man. But this is like the longest like quote unquote like creative video I made, I guess, like the longest like movie type video. Before that, I believe it was actually the superhero team video, which is weird to think about, but that one's like 30 minutes long. That's even longer than Rider of Vengeance, which is like 28 minutes or something like that. So definitely the longest video in the anthology series so far too. Like I think Compendium is like the second at like 26 minutes or something like that. I don't know. Anyways though, yeah, so thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video and the insights on Dunnest Smoke of Hell. Looking forward to making more of these projects. I've still got some more going. Like I said, the anthology series isn't ending anytime soon. It will end eventually, I will say that. But for now, we still got more to make. So I'll see you soon. Bye-bye!